What is up, everyone? Welcome to Next Man Up. My name is Chris, and I am back with another review, a breakdown of Hard Knocks with the New York Jets. Episode 2 has aired, and we're going to get a little bit more into it, what I liked, what I didn't like, and let's get going. First things first, episode opened with Oz Perlman, a mentalist who came to visit the team, did some, magic trick sort of stuff with them. And I thought it was a cool little segment. I thought that it could have been used as like an after practice sort of thing. I thought it was weird leading the episode off with it. I thought that it could have, given us some insight to, oh, hey, we're going to wind down after the episode and this is what we're doing. So it would have been nice to see that. After practice, not so much leading off the episode. I thought it was a little bit weird starting off with that. I could have used a little more, inspirational, knock their teeth in than speech sort of thing. Similar to what we had last week, how it opened with the monologue from Robert Saleh. But this is how they're doing it, so we just got to kind of deal with it. And I know last week I said I wanted more of the personal stuff, but I don't think we're really getting a lot of the in-home stuff. I think that was part of what the Jets said when they were saying you're not getting as much access this year. I guess that's part of what they meant. I know they said we weren't getting them cutting players, we weren't getting them, that stuff. They thought that was very personal, which is fine. I get it. But we are not getting the stuff with the wives, with the families, seeing how they are off the field. We got a little bit of that this week with Will McDonald. I'll get a little bit more into that. And a slight thing with Quinnen Williams as well. It was nice to see, some more players highlighted this week. But I think that there's a lot of muddling with the timeline because, first things first, they showed a fight between Michael Clemens, some other guys on the team. But as a Jets fan, following the team, following camp, I know that these fights happened weeks ago. They didn't happen this week leading up to Carolina. So having them during the episode leading up to the Carolina preseason game makes you think, oh, it happened this week. When these fights happened weeks ago, I don't remember any reports this week of anyone fighting. We saw Chris Streveler practicing in the episode as well. I know that he was injured / waived after the Hall of Fame game. So once again, the timeline is a little bit muddled of what they're using. It's one of those things where they're just getting the B-roll, using it when they want to use it sort of thing. So I'm sure there will be a couple more instances of this, but just being the eagle-eye viewer that I am, I saw these things more off the bat. And just knowing how things work and how things are, that's what I saw. And that's something that's a little bit weird to me. But as I said, we got a little bit of the fighting in camp. Robert Saleh says, okay, they fought for a day, now what? It's just like they got it out of their system. Their teammates, it's like, when you have siblings, you fight, you argue, but at the end of the day, you're together for the same goal. So, I think that's what his mentality was with it. I like that mentality. I like that they're just kind of moving forward. Hey, you know what? They got it out of their system. Let's get moving. Even when it happened, Garrett Wilson says, I'm not messing with Michael Clemens. Like, I don't know who would do that. And that's exactly what all of us fans would say. It's like, yeah, that's a big, scary man. He showed up to the first day of training camp carrying Lucille from The Walking Dead, barbed wire wrap bat. It's not the kind of guy you want to mess with, to be honest. But, that's where that went. And then, as I said, we got a little bit more. We didn't get as much with people off the field, outside of the, off the field, out in the house sort of things. But we did get a little bit with Quinnen Williams. Once again, this is kind of where that timeline thing is. They talked about his contract extension, about how his wife and daughter were going to be there. He gave some little shout outs to them. And he also gave a shout out to Optimus Prime, which I found funny. But, his contract got signed once again before training camp. So it's like, okay, they're using this storyline after the fact. And then they just glimpsed it. They didn't go too much into it. They had him in his press conference talking about it, where he says, it's not about the money, it's about leaving a legacy. And that's the kind of mentality you want to have from those sort of players. You don't want them to be all in it for the money. He shouted out his agent because she helped get him the deal. I think he's the second highest paid defensive tackle in the league now. So, he played like that last year. And even during the episode, Woody Johnson says to Saleh, 95 is good. Like that's a guy. And then Saleh says, Joe and I wouldn't have advocated to get him that money if we didn't think he was that good and if we didn't think he was that player. We got a lot of Quinnen Williams in this episode. We didn't really get anything of him last week, but it was nice getting that. When they went to Carolina, you have him saying, I got 10 sacks, I'm him, you can't stop me. And then, they get a little cut to Rodgers after Quinnen Williams breaks through again. 11 sacks. Like, it shows the camaraderie with the team, shows how dedicated and motivated they are to be better. So it was good seeing that. Speaking of Rodgers, we got a little bit of him a little bit more into his psyche. Him picking up grass, rubbing it on his hands, and he kind of explains, I started doing that in Green Bay during colder weather. Kind of rub some dirt on the hands, get a little bit more, of a grip on the ball, and then also you just throw it up, see where the wind's blowing, kind of get a good feel of that. So it was interesting seeing him breaking that down and seeing him talk about what goes into his thought process before plays and why he does these sort of I don't want to say rituals or superstitious sort of things, but it was good to see that as well. And then also off the field stuff, we got a little bit more. We got a Will McDonald spotlight. I was upset last week we didn't get a Will McDonald feature and nothing on him. He's the first round pick. We don't know much about him. They took him 15 overall. A lot of people thought that might have been a reach, me being one of them, but seeing him in camp, he's having a great camp. He's got great speed. He's got great awareness, which you see in the practice against Carolina, in the preseason game against Carolina where he got his first sack. And on top of that, you also got a little bit more into who he was. It followed him to a tattoo parlor where he got some more piercings. He has now 2 nose piercings, an eyebrow piercing. They talked about some of his tattoos. Now he's just like, I'm just going to do this, and then whatever comes to me, comes to me. It was nice kind of like getting a little bit more of the personality of him because, as I said, we don't know much about him. He wasn't one of those highly touted top 5 players that we're so used to hearing about. We heard a little bit about him on draft day, a little bit after that, but we didn't really get a lot of that, and it was good to see a little bit more into our first-round pick and know exactly kind of what kind of person he is. So moving forward, when they go to Carolina, you got some good quotes from Jeff Ulbrich. I love Jeff Ulbrich. I think he's a great coach. I think he's really interesting. You got a little bit more of the 2 coordinators. We got a little bit of Nathaniel Hackett last week, but we got more Jeff Ulbrich this week. We got good quotes from Jeff Ulbrich in both weeks. Ulbrich going over to Quinnen Williams says, "What up, Q? Sometimes you just got to lift your leg and mark your territory." And he's kind of goes down a list of things, and he says, "You got to be a dog." And he says, "Children's toys." No, I'm not going on children. It was just funny, that little interaction with the 2 of them. So it was good to see that. And then looking how they break down film after their practices, with the silent tape, I thought that was an interesting way to look at it. I thought it was really cool. I thought it was good to see how they approach looking at it. Say, we're going to watch this silent. We're not going to have any sound on it. We're not going to have any whistles. What do you see? Who are you presenting as? It was cool to see them breaking down the film that way in the silent tape and saying, who are you presenting on the field? Because you get a little bit more into the mentality of the team, and I really like that. Speaking of breaking down film, the segment where they're talking about, is this a pass, is this a run, talking about Rodgers and his play fakes, I like that a lot. It was good to see the quarterback room, good to see Zach Wilson kind of having a good knowledge and him giving some jabs to Rodgers, showing a little personality of him, a little bit of arrogance and cockiness, which we've seen a little bit from him, but he also has been more humble going into this year. So hopefully it's just kind of the relationship that they have and not so much his actual personality being cocky and arrogant, because I don't want that if he's going to be quote unquote the future. So that was good to see the 2, them breaking that down. I think Wilson was right on all of the call outs that he made on if it was a run or a pass between the 2 plays. So that was good. You got more of Rodgers. He get him jabbing with his old coach from when he was in Green Bay, the offensive line coach for the Panthers, now kind of making jabs about his weight. I don't know if it was super necessary to have that, but it was just showing how much Rodgers knows people because he's been in the league so long. He said, I'm old. That's why I know so many people. So, it was interesting seeing that. The rookie show. Every year, Hard Knocks does the rookie show. They cover the rookie show for all the teams. A lot of people remember the Baltimore Ravens one where you have Shannon Sharp being mimicked, you have Ray Lewis being mimicked, you have all the rookies mimicking the veterans. That's probably one of the most memorable episodes of Hard Knocks. I've watched this bet every season, so that was definitely one that always stands out. Whenever Hard Knocks is coming out, they always show that in the promos, just seeing that and stuff like that. I would need my restitution. It's classic Hard Knocks. It's classic clip that everyone knows. And this year's rookie show was trash. And even the players called it out as trash. They said, this sucked. You're going to get a redo. So hopefully we get the redo next week and it is good and something that we use for more. They did a stomp the yard thing. It was just I didn't, I was with the team. I was this kind of sucks, but it was good seeing the veterans kind of throw it back and say, listen, you got to be better than that. So it was good to see them, call him out and make him do it again, because I don't want that to be the rookie show legacy of this season. Now I talked about, you got some of the quarterbacks, you have, and the coordinators, you have Nathaniel Hackett. He said to Zach Wilson after play, "Oh, that turned me on." I was like, "That was a little bit weird." He's just a weird dude. I know there's been some reports of him being a weird dude. That was just a weird moment to me. I thought that was very odd the way that he said that, and like, he just sounded like he was turned on. He's just a weird dude. But he's got a good relationship with Rodgers. It looks like he has a good relationship with the players. So that's what I care about. If he can make the right calls, make the right play calls, have good relationship with the team. That's all I can really want from a coach. Now, I know I talked about Will McDonald. He got his first sack, got his first, he had good speed, good awareness. They break down the play that he got his sack on, and it was beautiful. He anticipated the chip on the right. He went in. It was good to see some football breakdown in there as well. You see Rodgers talking with Ron Middleton, who's the tight ends coach, saying, "Oh, nice coaching, nice coaching." Ron Middleton needs to be more involved in this show. I know that, there's always a assistant coach that gets some sort of spotlight. When it was the Browns, we had Bob Wiley, the offensive line coach, and his quotes. And Ron Middleton, I've seen clips of him in speeches, and he was the interim coach when Saleh had COVID. So I've seen clips of him being a coach and being motivational. And he says something, you want to run through a wall. When they did the Senior Bowl and he was talking to the team. I want that man to have more quotes because he is a quote machine in all the clips that I've seen. So I want more of him. I want him to actually be featured. I don't want to just be jabs that Rodgers giving him. Like, oh, nice coaching. Oh, he ran the wrong route. He ran the wrong route, but got a touchdown. Like, it was good seeing those jabs from Rodgers, but I want more of Ron Middleton. I think he's a great coach. I think he's a great personality, and they need to, steer into that a little bit more. Some more of the personal stuff, they did this nice little funny segment in the tag at the end of the cinema classics breakdown, with the quarterback saying, "Oh, you need to know what these movies are. We need to give you an education." I want that during the episode. I want like something more, giving some more humanity to the players, showing, there's these young kids, they need to know these classics. They show them some Leslie Nielsen clips, and then they show some guys talking about it. I would like to see that as part of the episode, part of those segments. As we're not getting the personal stuff at home, so there's not as many storylines happening this year. We're not getting the bubble guys, we're not getting stuff like that. So I'd like to see more of that. If that's the personal stuff they're going to do, if that's the stuff they're going to do that kind of gets us to see who these players are a little bit more and the makeup of this team, give us more of that during the episode, not so much during the tags. As I said, we had Tangiel Smart talking about the charcuterie board in the tag last week. Where's that during the episode? I want more of the personal stuff during the episode. That might just be me. I really want more of the personal stuff. I like the personal stuff. I think that's what makes this show special. That's what made Quarterback on Netflix special, really seeing who these players were off the field. So that's about it for my breakdown. They showed the Carolina game. The defense was dominant. You see Saleh say, that's going to show well on the silent film. Like they really stress that silent film, and I think that's a good way for them to approach that. I enjoyed this episode more than the last one. We got no Sauce in this episode. I think we got a quick shot of him, but nothing of him talking, nothing of him doing anything. So it was interesting to see that. Last week they really focused on him and Wilson. This week, we got a clip of Wilson talking about not wanting to fight Michael Clemens and nothing of Sauce, which is odd to me. It's weird this year. I feel like they're trying to incorporate a lot of players, but not building any storylines. The last how many seasons has it been? They've always incorporated storylines, followed certain players, followed certain battles in camp. But we're not really getting that this year. I guess, the Jets have final say in what's okay and what's not okay. But once again, I would like to see more of that. I would like to see more of the personal stuff. Get some more humanity around the team. Get to know these players. That's one of the best things about Hard Knocks, and I think they need to steer more into it. But that's my thoughts on this episode. Better than the first one. Still not blown away. I am enjoying it because it is the Jets. I love seeing anything with them. So let us know. Tweet us. Put it on our Instagram comments, however you want to communicate with us what your thoughts on the episode were. And until next time, be well.